Well, they got me a few minutes ago.
They're going to stay with the bucket.
Yeah, you can guard the bucket that way.
Yeah.
Oh my God. All the food must have been in them buckets all day.
Yeah.
I'm going to
He's
yak you
guarding.
guys for a little while and tell you a little bit about these pelicans. Welcome to the Florida Keys Wild Bird Center. Just to let you know, we've been here for 25 years now. Our main goal is to take in injured birds, to rehabilitate them, heal them, and get them flying again. Our secondary mission is to provide a home to those birds who would otherwise be euthanized. So we do a lot of both. Miss Laura Quinn, who'll be coming down the boardwalk in a little while with her dogs, owns the center, and she's started it 25 years ago. Our main bird here, obviously, is the pelican. This is Pelecanus occidentalis. It's the brown pelican. It's one of two pelicans found in the United States. The other pelican found in the U.S. is the American white pelican. Rarely it will migrate down here, but it's typically Texas and east and north of that. Northwest region of the United States. It's normally where you see the American white. Now the brown pelican here, there's 4 subspecies of the brown pelican. This is the eastern pelican. And has anyone ever been here before? Anybody been here before? Do you guys happen to know anything about the colors on the pelicans? Did you learn anything about that?
No.
Anybody remember?
I know that the adults have yellow and brown, I think.
Yep, that's true. Now, anybody know how to tell if it's a baby or a juvenile?
It's brown.
Yep, it's all brown, or it's all brown with a big white belly. See if I can find a baby here. This is a juvenile here, but that's about a teenager because his belly's brown already.
What about this one?
Yep, there we go. There's a baby with a big white belly. Yep. And they're a little bit fatter because when they leave the nest, their parents have overfed them so they can build up extra fat in case they're no good at fishing for the first couple of weeks on their own. So the babies you'll see are much bulkier. So that is their baby fat. Now, the breeding colors on these pelicans, when they have that beautiful yellow on their head, okay, and their eye, we call it eye makeup. The eye turns a brighter red, a brighter orange, and that is their breeding colors. That's the show they put on for their mates, that they can, and the boys and the girls do that, so they'll know whether the other one is you know, in their breeding colors, ready to find a mate. Now, after they've found a mate and they're laying the eggs on the nest, the yellow starts to fade off, and the brown comes and gets very dark and brilliant on the back of their neck. And that means that they've already found their mate, okay, and they're getting ready to go and nest and make some babies for us. Now, does anybody know why we might feed these wild pelicans here at the beach? Anybody got an idea why we might feed the wild birds? That is one of the number one reasons. There is a lack of food in the bay. There is less fish in the bay now. A few years ago, you could sit here where you're at right now and you could see all these pelicans diving out there for their food. We haven't seen that in years now. The fish, and then we have several newspaper articles that are up on the wall in the gift shop if you guys want to read about that. There's 3 major reasons why we are losing our bait fish out there in the bay. Does anybody want to guess what one reason why there's less fish in the bay?
Probably
Pollution. Pollution is one of the main reasons. Pollution comes from 3 main sources. It comes from the agricultural runoff, it comes from the wastewater runoff. Here in South Florida, a lot of us have septic tanks and cesspits, and that water's getting flushed into our groundwater and then into the ocean and the bay. The 3rd reason is the insecticides. They spray, they do it with airplanes, they do it with trucks. The insecticides are having an impact too. And the chemicals aren't necessarily directly having an effect on them, but they're having an effect on the fish, and then when these guys ingest those fish, they now have toxic levels in them. One of the main things is mercury. Close to the coastal areas, we have real high mercury levels here in the water, and that does have an effect on these pelicans. When they get poisoned like that, they'll come in and they'll start losing the use of their limbs, their legs. They'll come in, they won't be able to stand up straight, they'll be sitting on their butt, unable to use their legs right. And that's one of the main indicators that they've been poisoned, either by something that we've dumped in there most likely, or just a secondary thing from the fish there. Now, there is another reason why we feed the wild birds. Anybody want to guess another reason?
Tag them?
last question.
Why there's pollution?
Why there's less fish?
Why there's less fish?
Is it water flow?
No, not really. The main reason there's less fish is due directly to the pollution. But another reason that we feed the wild pelicans here is to check for injuries. We get pelicans almost twice a week, almost regularly, with hooks and fishing line hanging out of their stomachs, hanging off their bills, caught in their wings. I caught one yesterday off the beach here. It had a hook right inside of its neck. Okay, and when the fishermen are out there fishing, they get their line stuck in the mangroves. They decide it's easier to cut the line than it is to bring their boat in closer and to try to get the line back. That is a very bad thing for the fishermen to do. If any of you guys like fishing, and I do, you have to get that line back, you have to get that hook back. Because if you cut it and you leave it in those mangroves and those trees, now the birds come in to nest, they get caught up in it, either in their wings or their feet. I was out on one of these islands yesterday, and I was at what's called a rookery, which is where the birds come in to rest at night, and they nest out there. And when I looked up, I saw a frigate bird hanging from his feet, dead, hanging from the mangrove trees because he had gotten caught up in the fishing line that a fisherman had left there. Okay, so it's very important for us to pick up our hooks and pick up our fishing line. They hang out on the piers and the docks, and then you go to cash your bait, and they go right after it, and they grab it, and they suck it up. And there you go. You've got a pelican that's eating a hook. At that point, if that happens to you, please don't cut the line. Please pull that bird in. It may not seem very humane that you're pulling it when you know the hook is in it, but that's better than letting them go with that hook in it. Bring them here. We can take care of it and get them back into the air again. The third reason we feed them is to promote breeding. It is breeding season right now. It's February to May. Okay, and the pelicans will only mate if they have a full belly, if they think that there's enough food out there to feed their young. If they don't think there's enough food to feed the 3 eggs they have, because they typically have 3 babies, then they're not going to breed. Now, they're in no way living off of what we give them here. They have to eat 2 to 3 pounds of fish a day, healthy pelican needs each day. So this is a treat. This is, I'm hoping, a dessert to say, okay, hey, I'm so full, I'm going to go have some babies now with my gal. I'm hoping that that's what this does for them here. And the pelicans can hold 2 to 3 gallons of water in their pouch. The ground pelicans are the only of 8 species in the world that dive for their food. So you'll see them diving sometimes from as much as 75 feet in the air. They'll go down head first, straighten it out, pull their wings back, put their beak down. They don't open the beak until they're in the water. They open up the beak, grab as much as they can. The 2 to 3 gallons of water will leak out the sides of the beak, and they'll be left with whatever fish they might have gotten. Now they hunt primarily by eyesight. They swim close to the water. You may see them skimming in lines or V-shapes together, and they're close to the water. And what they're doing is they're looking for the fish, and when they spot it, they'll do their climb. When you see them doing their climb, you know that they're coming down for that fish they spotted. And that's how they do their hunting. Now when they're breeding, they'll usually do it out on the mangrove islands. The reason they do that is to stay away from the raccoons and the humans. Okay, we normally will not see them nest here on the coast. Okay, when they go out there, the male goes out to the islands, and during his courtship ritual, what he'll do is he'll bob his head in a figure 8 like this, and he'll do this little dance. And he may be out there on the island doing his little dance for up to 3 days until a girl thinks he's attractive enough to come over and check him out. Now, when a girl does look like she's going to accept him, what the male will do is he will go find nesting material. He will go find some sticks or twigs or grasses, and he'll come back and in a very gesturous way he will present it to her, and she will decide whether it's worthy or not. The male is always the one to collect the nesting material exclusively. The female is the one to build the nest exclusively. They do not trade those jobs. Now when they have the baby, they typically have 3 eggs, and the parents will never leave the eggs. Okay, the eggs, if they sit in the sunlight for more than 10 minutes, they're cooked. They'll die. 10 minutes and they're dead. So mom and dad will trade off all the time. Okay, one will go fishing, come back, they'll relieve the other will go. They usually sit on their eggs with their feet. And you think that might crush them, but they're very gentle, and those wet feet are very gentle, and they keep them warm there with their feet. And one of the things that can happen is when you're going across these islands and you see them nesting in the mangroves, don't try to get real close to them. Lots of times people want to get a really good picture and they climb up real close to them. You scare that adult off its nest and the other adult is not back yet, either in 10 minutes that egg is going to cook and die because it scared the adult off, or as soon as the adult is scared away, a fish crow may come in and eat the egg. And the fish crows are very smart to that. They will look for a breeding pelican to leave the nest. They'll take advantage of it quickly. So when you see them breeding on those mangrove islands, please keep your distance and give them as much room as you can. Now there's several white birds you guys saw on the way down here. We have two main egrets that are here on the property. One is a snowy egret. That's a small egret with yellow slippers. We call her the girl with the yellow slippers. Very small, very pretty plumage on her. It's a yellow egret. I wish I could point one out to you here. If you look back in these bogs here, I know that there's some snowy egrets back there. They have yellow feet. Now, if they're in the water, the reason you can tell is because it has a black beak. Okay, not a light colored beak, but a black beak.
There's one
The
way
real
back
tall
there
one
on
right
that
back
branch.
here, that looks like he's almost as tall as me, that's a great white heron. He's got flesh-colored legs, okay, not black legs. That's the great white heron, and it's only found in the Caribbean, Florida Keys, and the Everglades. Nowhere else in the world. The one that is just under him in size is the common egret. He has black legs. You see one far off in the background there. That's the common egret, or the great egret you may see in the field guides, the great egret. And then we have the ibis. The ibis are with the curved beaks there. They eat insects and small crustaceans and stuff, so you'll see them skimming the ground. If you see them and they have brown on them, that means they're immature. It's called a white ibis. If it's brown, it is a young one. Now when you guys come up to feed, you can have a glove if you like. The only damage that these pelicans can inflict on you is the very end of their beak. They have a little hook, and that's their feather hook. That is used to clean their feathers. That's what the hook is made for. But if you, they try to eat your arm and you pull back real quick, you might get like just a little scrape on your skin. That's as much as they can do. If this pelican slams with all his strength down on my arm, it's not going to do anything at all to it. It is not serrated or sharp on the edges by any means. If you have the glove, I can almost guarantee you won't get scratched. I encourage you to do it all natural, so you can feel the slimy fish just like the pelicans do when they eat it. But it's up to you guys. So you can have a glove if you like. I'd like you guys to volunteer and come up here, and then I'll unleash the bucket lids at the same time. And when you're feeding them, make sure you get a handful and try to spread it around. Hopefully